Chris Roberts here for Fight Up TV. Joined by Umar Sadiq. How's things?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. Obviously, you've just done your workout then. How are you feeling? Are you,
I feel fresh, man. I feel good. I trained this morning already. Like I said, sparred 10 rounds, did a circuit after. Quickly went and saw a physio and then came back and jumped in for that workout. So as you can see, I'm ready to go, man. All the energy in the world. And I still haven't eaten.
Yeah, and in terms of obviously your fight, so you're fighting a week Saturday on the 20th of October.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of your experience, obviously, you know, we're saying that it's a 50-50 fight. What are you expecting of your opponents? Obviously, I think there's a bit of frustration that he hasn't turned up today at the media workout, but in terms of the fight, we'll go on to that first. What are you sort of expecting from this, and why have you taken that challenge so early in your professional career?
First of all, there's absolutely no frustration. I don't give a damn that he's not here. It's just that he has a lot to say about wanting to be Frank Warren's #1, and then he gets an opportunity to work out in front of the public and all the media like yourselves, and he doesn't turn up. Yeah. How can you be #1 if no one's seeing you? Yeah. That aside, like you said, on paper it's a 50-50 fight. Why am I taking it so early? Because I'm a numbers person because I'm a graduate accountant, but in regards to this, I'm not actually looking at his record, I'm looking at the individual, and based on the performances he's put forward, I believe he's a very good learning fight for me at this stage of my career. I've got no desire to face people who are coming in to lose. So, you know, I expect him to come in the fight with hunger, determination, a will to win. Ultimately though, I believe whatever he brings to the table, I'm going to have an answer and then some, and so I'll come out victorious but with good lessons.
In terms of the transition from going into the amateurs into professional, how have you found that transition, and how has this kind of professional game suited you?
I think the transition I found quite smooth because it took me a long time to turn pro. So I had my last amateur fight in June 2016. On my first pro fight in September 17. But I was in the gym the whole way through, and I was working, understanding the landscape of the industry, talking to different managers, agents, promoters, boxers, but also training everywhere and training with everyone who would give me the time of day. So I had a year to serve an apprenticeship basically. So in terms of the style-wise, it's been smooth. But outside of the ring, what I've learned quickly is that as a pro, you've got to self-promote. You are a business and a product, and you need to continuously work on product development, which is your boxing, which I do very diligently. Then you also need to work on your marketing, which I do again. I've got my YouTube channel, my social medias are very active. I enjoy speaking with the likes of you, and speaking whenever I get my
microphone. In terms of your social media, YouTube channels, what are they called?
So, it's all across the board. I'm Top Boxer Sadiq on Twitter and Instagram, and then Facebook and YouTube, I've got Umar Sadiq Top Boxer. But if you just put Top Boxer Sadiq, you'll find me on all the platforms.
Yeah. I like that. I like, the reason I say, give yourself that plug, because I like boxers who have that mentality in terms of their growth, and they see the sport as an actual business rather than just focusing on boxing.
Exactly.
I think it's important, particularly for yourself at the stage of your career. You have to be your own promoter. You are in charge of your own brand, and that's what I think. I mean, just a further sort of comment. I mean, how important have you found that? Particularly starting your own YouTube channel. You've seen like Hara Davis have done it, a couple of others. I've had a conversation with Martin Murray about the same sort of thing. How important do you find having that YouTube platform and leverage your brand and grow your career?
I mean, I've just started. I started this year on YouTube, but the traction's not been as great as I thought it would be at this stage. But I believe I'm at a stage now where it's going to start to pick up a lot more. I think most fighters are naive in terms of understanding commerce and economics. So, I mean, if you understand economics, you understand that a promoter puts on a show, it costs them money. And the first priority of theirs is to get as much of that money back as possible, and then some for profit. So, if no one knows who you are, the promoter has no desire to use your name to publicize the show, because that's not going to draw the crowd in. So you need to do enough to draw enough attention to make people want to come and see you, and then the promoter will put your name in the show. So I think it's just understanding things. I think a lot of fighters are naive, and you could be a great boxer, but you got to get real with it and understand what the landscape's like and what you need to do to play your part.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in terms of your own personal goals and aspirations within the game, obviously, we talked a little bit earlier, quite, early in your professional career. But in terms of your long-term vision, particularly over the next 2 to 3 years, where do you see sort of your career progression? What are your goals and what you want to achieve out of the sport?
I see my career progressing smoothly, and by smoothly I mean taking the right steps at the right times to learn the lessons I need to prepare me for the next step. There are going to be some fights that are hard, there are going to be other fights that are easy, but ultimately I'm prepared to go through whatever I've got to go through to get to where I want to get to, and in about 2 years' time I hope to be a world champion.
You want to go for that? That's kind of where that's your dream.
That's the rate I'm trying to work at. Yeah.
Obviously, in terms of your weight and the guys that are kind of operating at that level at the minute, the likes of Rocky Field, and what you kind of make of his sort of transition in terms of where he's got now. Obviously, I think he's almost took a tough path in terms of his transition, but he's almost landed at the top. He's got a massive shot, obviously against Canelo. What you kind of fancy his chances? I don't know whether you've ever sparred Rocky before.
No,
but what do you kind of make of his chances in that fight?
I mean, if I was in his position, I'll take that fight. He early on in his career, he had that first round defeat to Callum Smith, after which a lot of people wrote him off, but Callum Smith has gone on to prove that he's a force to be reckoned with, so there's no shame in that loss, and anyone can get caught cold. He's won a WBA regular, and Canelo decides to move up and wants to fight him. I mean, I'll take that. He's got everything to win in that fight, so long as he goes in there and puts in a good account of himself. But ultimately, he's with Jamie Moore, who I think is a very good trainer, and I think they're going to go in there with a game plan to actually go in there and shock the world, and his life can change overnight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So credit to him.
Yeah, and I think touching on that point you made of the loss, I don't think it's as I think we're sort of going into an era where protecting your undefeated record isn't everything. We talk about having your brand, your YouTube, a different narrative to leverage rather than just marketing your undefeated record. So I don't think there's always I don't think you always have to sort of protect that, and it's okay to take risks. I mean, is that something that you're probably going to have to find in your career of sort of balancing that? No, Anthony Yarde has got a similar situation. He's been offered sort of an opportunity to fight at world level. Does he take it? Does he not? The team think it's not the right time. How do you sort of play that game in terms of the opportunity that you see? We talked about it's a 50-50 fight now, but in terms of taking a Canelo or like a Rocky Field and then sort of managing your development.
I think what happens with that is that as fighters we always believe we can win, even if it's as small as a glimmer of hope. We clutch onto it and we hold onto it really tight. So any fighter would always think they can win the fight, but then you have a team for a reason, because they're able to look at things more objectively and look at the longevity of what you're doing. So sometimes a fighter might not take a fight, not because they can't beat the champion, but because they're looking at all the other contenders and thinking, well, I want to be able to hold on to this title. So maybe there are a few things I need to learn before I go for that. There are several reasons why a fighter might not take a fight like that, but you're definitely right about fighters not putting too much emphasis on protecting the O. And I think, as much as Floyd Mayweather is my favourite fighter of our generation, I still think he needs to be held to account for the whole emphasis on protecting the O. And now that he's retired, again, you see more and more great fights happening, because fighters are thinking, well, if I lose, but I can come again, so long as I go in there and make a good show of it.
Yeah. I just want to finish off. I know you've talking about sort of world level and your aspirations. I know you sparred obviously with the likes of Degale, Billy Joe Saunders. How do you find sparring with those guys? Where do you sort of see yourself? What do you learn? What do you sort of gain from obviously sparring and being in the ring and training with those guys?
What I find, so first thing I look at is how they run the camp. So when I'm going in, I analyse how the sparring was arranged, what the setup was, what the environment was like when I got there, how they were when they arrived, how they warm up. Then also during the sparring, I'm looking at are they working on something, and I'm trying to identify what they may be working on and how committed they are to sticking to the game plan. And then things like when I have a bit of success, I'm looking to see, are they trying to answer, how do they reply, how are they controlling the ring, what traps are they setting. So I'm in there really just to learn and sponge off as much information and knowledge as I possibly can, because then when I'm at that level, even though I'm going to do things originally, I'd have a good idea of what other people are doing at that level. But also you learn a lot. Like George Groves, I think, is very professional in the way he runs his system, and that's something that I'm going to take on board. I'll have the pleasure of being around Anthony Joshua at times, and I like his setup as well, because he has everything in-house in one place, so he doesn't have to travel. That's something I'd love to have. So it's just a matter of learning. Yeah, it's probably something that most people don't see in terms of the process, and sticking to that process, trusting it. Obviously the setup that they've got, and it's good that you're observing that at this stage in your career as well. So no, Umar, it's been great speaking to you. Very smart man, and I think you've got a great sort of professional career ahead here, and good luck. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Thanks for talking to Fight TV. Cheers. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.